Okay, we should be live now. So, welcome back, Justin. It's
Good
good
morning.
to chat with you a little bit offline. Now we get to chat online, talking
Yeah,
about priorities. You have a lot of stuff going on right now. You got a tenant changeover, turnover.
right.
You're focusing on your real estate business. I'm working on some refinances. So let's jump into it. What's going on with, you mentioned it's your first turnover?
Yeah, so now I'm bringing back the property management in-house, and I have a tenant moving out on the 30th of the month. So tomorrow's the move out day. So meeting there, doing the walkthrough, making sure everything's looks good. Then putting it back on the market, setting up a time for people to come look at it this weekend. Last time I talked to him, it sounded like it was in good shape, so I'm hoping it's literally just getting in there and cleaning. If that's the case, that'd be awesome. I could do the open house this weekend, have people come in and look at it. If not, it'll have to be next weekend. With the goal, obviously, to minimize the turnover and, both from time and a cost perspective. So this is my first one where if I was doing it right, I would have already had the listing live and then said, hey, it's available, a week out. But, you know, I don't know if you're this way, but you get busy with so much stuff that you're planning stuff out in advance, but sometimes you're not planning everything, and then boom, it's right on you. So like right now, this tenant turnover is like right on me, where I have to do the walkthrough, make sure that I follow the process, do the walkout and the inspection, give the earnest or not earnest money, but the security deposit back. So. It's one of those where I've been focusing on all the agent business, but then as the property stuff comes up, I have to just shift focus, deal with that, then hop back into the agent business.
So, what are things you can do to assist with that? Could you hire a leasing agent, someone that's younger in the business, and just give them like 20 bucks a showing, or
Yeah,
what do you think?
100%. Totally,
Yeah.
not doesn't necessarily need to be a leasing agent per se. There's a lot of programs now. I use one called Showwami. Now, this is for the agent side of the business, but you can have them because I can put like a agent lockbox on there. Usually it's like depending on how much time, could be 50 bucks, as high as like 200 bucks. If you have them just open the door, if you have them sit there for an hour or 2 hours, you can use this third party program for them to help you out. So what I like to do if I'm taking something over, I like to do it myself, then write it down and then show the next person I'm handing it off to.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, my and speaking of you were saying hiring a showing assistant. I'm yesterday I did went through my second round of interviews for a second virtual assistant. This is like where virtual assistants can come in and help manage your life on schedules, what you're gonna do. And I do better if like somebody's telling me what to do. Because then I don't have to think all about it. It's just like get me in the specific tasks I'm supposed to do and execute.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm getting blown up. Ever since taking over management, it's like
Oh yeah. I'm by the end of next month I'm gonna be in the same situation as you.
it is still worth it though.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna have to figure out systems kind of like you are. I haven't used an for showing. So what was that called? Show what?
Showami. Showwami. I think I have an
Show.
app on my phone. Let's see, Showami. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that.
Huh. And is that only agents?
This one, yeah, because I had to put in my license number when I set this up.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I guess I'll look into that. I'm trying to build out systems so that I can have the management in-house, but also still have more time. It's not as much as I thought it was going to be, but it's still a lot more than I was doing. But
Oh
I
yeah.
would say it's 10 of 10 recommend. Well worth it. is my occupancy levels have just been shooting up compared to
Yeah.
how management was running it. And I have a feeling you'll experience a similar, you get similar takeaways from it because it's night and day how different the lease up rate is doing it myself.
Oh yeah. I think, and maybe this is a good question for us. If we did property management from day one, all our units, I don't think I would have scaled nearly as fast. Because then I would have been like, man, that's more that I got to do in terms of the security deposits and, walk through inspections, making sure the collections are paid. So, I mean, do you think you would have grown as fast if you had to do it from day one?
Well, I self-managed my first 81 rentals.
Oh, geez, you did. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I scaled and was fine with it because it was more hands-on. Like I had a good understanding of the tenants, so that helped. But I don't know if I would have gone to 200 units self-managing it all. Probably
Right.
would have stopped around 100,
Hmm.
but 81 units self-managed by 21 years old, it was possible. And so I think people can do it. But I also didn't have kids or
Yeah.
a wife
That
or a job,
that
so
was
that
your
helped.
job, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah. But 81, that's still a lot. I mean, that seems unfathomable, but how many are you doing now? You're over 81 now though, right?
Yeah. So let's see. At the end of if I close on my current business, I'll be self-managing like 170 rentals.
Dang, huge.
No, 180 rentals. Yeah. So, and that's not the Tennessee stuff, but that's just Washington. And I'm gonna have to build systems out because I mentioned earlier if I was self-managing in the beginning, I probably would have gone to 200. Well, basically gonna be there. So that'll be fun.
Did you mention what PM tool you're using? Was it Buildium or Appfolio or
I
what do you?
use Hemlane.
Oh, Hemlane. Okay. Yeah.
I like it a lot. Yeah. I've got support. I can hop on a call with them whenever I want.
Hmm.
We have calls every Tuesday or Monday, one of those. I think it's Tuesday. We chat every week, go over analytics, what we're doing to get it full. They're very helpful. And I think I spend $18 a month a unit, but I've got a 24/7 maintenance line. So in case there's that emergency while I'm sleeping,
Yeah.
I don't have to take it, which is great.
That's nice. So $18 per month, and then assuming it handles the leases, they have stock leases you can use.
And you can add in verbiage.
Hmm.
So I've had a couple situations where I got like a hot tub or a sauna or a garage space or something unique.
Hmm.
And I'll throw a situation into an AI platform and utilize the lease and be like, hey, I want a clause specifically for this that aligns with the standard verbiage of the lease and generates it. So then I just plug and play it into the lease.
Oh man, that's nice. Yeah, because I know for me, and maybe you have this too. On the single family homes, on the older homes, it'll have a fireplace in there. And then sometimes I've bought these where they've already closed, I think it's called the flume.
Hmm.
But then I have in the lease where it says no fires in the house, and they have to specifically sign that in the lease so that if they do have a fire and a planned fire in there and an issue comes up, then they didn't follow the lease. So
Sweet. Yeah, I gotta probably do that. I only have one fireplace that I would have to worry about in my portfolio, so
yeah,
probably should add that.
yeah, most of all yours is a multifamily, so typically you're not having fireplaces in multifamily.
I've actually seen it a lot, not in my stuff, but I've seen a lot of multifamily that has a fireplace.
Dang. Okay.
High risk, low reward.
Exactly. Yeah. The less stuff that tenants can potentially cause damage, the better. So,
Yeah.
are
It's
most of
something.
yours for heat
Oh,
wise? I'm imagining most are baseboard or cadet.
right. A lot of them are cadet, and I do have a bunch of baseboards as well.
Hmm.
Now, before we jumped on this call, you mentioned you have a 9.5% interest rate. What the heck's going on with that?
Yeah. So I bought a property at the end of 2024. So it's a house with the daddy on it. The daddy was already done. I had sold some properties that I needed to exercise a 1031. So I had identified the three properties. The other two properties didn't come in, so I ended up buying this one, which was actually a friend of mine needed to sell. So we were able to I put it on there as my backup option. So I ended up doing that. But at that time in 2024, I didn't have let's see, that would have been I only had 1 year's of tax returns with the agent income. And so, but I had all the income coming in from the rentals.
Yeah.
So I did what's called a bank statement loan. Anytime you're using a non-owner occupied, some sort of non-standard loan product, the cost of the loan goes up and then the interest rate goes up. So at that time, I want to say rates were in the mid sevens, somewhere in there, just for regular owner occupied. And then, so obviously it's, being a bank statement and then non-owner occupied is higher. So yeah, I want to say it's like 9.5 and I've just been paying it. That property actually loses probably a couple $100 a month. Um, it'll probably be break even when I take the management back over, but the I've been in this like weird scenario where it's like, do I pay the cost of refi now? And then, if the rates drop in the future, refi again. Because I know if I redo it right now, I could probably be in the 7% range. So at least 2% lower. So it's like, it's one of those, do I pay the cost to lower the interest rate now? Or do I wait and then refi, when the rates drop? But it's one of those like,
Is that your only alligator right now?
no, 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 no. I've got a couple of my seller finance properties are slightly negative, but they're either 0% interest or low interest. And I'm like, well, I'm getting massive debt pay down, which I like. Um, so I think I'd have to go back, and this would be a good exercise to go through each one and see which ones are the alligators. Usually the ones that were alligators in the past were ones where on paper they were actually good, but with tenant turnover and tenants not paying, they became alligators. Now the only ones that I have left are these. They were set up as alligators, meaning the financing structure that I put in at the acquisition point.
Yeah, it's easy negotiating your own debt product to make it seem good, like a low interest rate, but losing money is losing money.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. So like, as I'm doing new deals, the structure of them is definitely different. That was when most of those ones that I did, I think I still had the W-2 job at the time, where, and this is like, when I had the W-2, I had the income coming in, so it was like less of an issue. But
Yeah,
when you go full-time investor it's, and you have to actually live and eat the income,
yeah,
then you negotiate differently, right? I end up walking from more more deals because of that. So before I was like, well, a couple $100 here or there, not a big deal. Let's get into the property and then we'll figure it out later. But now I want everything to be standalone. Like if you buy this property actually has to make money on its own. And then if it doesn't make, then should I refi or, do a financing thing to improve it or sell that and then roll it into something else?
Yeah, life's too short to have alligators.
Yeah, I
I
know.
had a handful of them, as you know,
Yeah.
and now I only have one right now, which I'm very grateful for.
Hmm.
So I'm glad to be out of that game. I had at one point I had five,
But big
and
alligator. You had one. Was it the Robin Hood? Is that the big
yeah,
alligator?
that was one of them. There was like two scary ones that were six figures a year.
Oh, jeez. Six figure, man. Eight 8,000 a month or more? 9,000? Jeez.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it was a monthly thing. So one of them was a monthly 8 grand a month,
Hmm.
just bleed.
Yep.
But the other, when we had bought the hotel at that time, it was similar to yourself. We negotiated a great interest rate, 4.5% interest for 3.5 million. Like that's a great rate to borrow money, especially for millions of dollars. That wasn't the problem. The property paid for that and then some. We had positive cash flow. We negotiated an additional down payment of 225,000 every year. And so you do good, 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 and then November comes around, you write a check that you don't have. And it's just like that's the issue.
Right.
And then you're good because you're paying it was interest only loan. So every time you made that big payment, your payment went down like $800,
Mhm.
which was awesome. But you know, coming up with that amount of money every year, like the first year is like, okay, we survived. Second year is like, oh, that really hurt. Third year, I'm tired of this. And then
Yeah.
I got out and I lost a ton of money on that transactions. Like getting out was very costly. However, would you rather pay a very hard price to pay or lose all your stuff? It's like, well, I think I know what the writing is on the wall.
Right. Well, I think a lot of that comes down to is certainty, right? Like if you get out now, you lose whatever, but you're done with it, right?
Yeah,
That's like the one I had that development deal where I was losing almost it was between 5 to 6 thousand a month. Now, could I kept that property? If I kept it, it would still been an alligator. So I
yeah,
was like, I'd rather take the loss knowing and have it defined and be done with. And man, the stress level has definitely come down. Um, and I'm hoping my other one, I should have an offer today, two people potentially. So once that one sells, the two biggest like burdens that are on me are away. And I guess for you, like, what did it feel like when you sold it, and then have you operated differently since selling?
yeah. I've been more hands-on on my projects, and I'm not going out of my lane. I had the opportunity to buy a storage facility, 100% seller finance. I had an opportunity to buy 100 units, zero down, seller financed, and I didn't do it. The 100 units, it was a motel conversion, so I could have gotten into it for free, but having done two of those, it's just not worth it for me.
Right,
So I made money on one, broke even on another, and it's like, those are not like I just don't think that's what I want to do.
right,
Low rent, high turnover doesn't sound fun to me. I'd rather buy the new stuff. So yeah, I've just been more selective, kind of like you.
yeah. And now is your selection metric a function of, it could be all of them, but is it the return that you're trying to get? Is it the return on time? Is it the headaches? Is it because self-managing, do you really want to take on 100 units all at one time? What's been the decision criteria?
Yeah, the return's not the most important thing. Buying the best piece of real estate I can get myself into is the most important thing for me. It has to be, of course. I mean, this skips the fact that it has to be cash flow positive. You have to have good debt coverage and long-term fixed rate debt. But I'm just trying to buy the best piece of real estate I can. So if that's brand new stuff, if that is single level apartments in a great location, whatever it may be, I just want to get the best stuff because the best properties, the prize, you drive by a neighborhood and you're like, ooh, that's the prize of this area. Like I want to own those to the
Right,
extent that I can. So that's what I'm working on now. And I have reason to believe that you buy the best properties in your area and you're going to get rewarded from long-term appreciation and cash flow.
right. That's like what you're, I don't, whether you came up with it or somebody else, I remember you saying better is better. So you're looking at better properties, better area, for more consistent cash flow. Because if you're like me, the paper cash flow didn't always materialize. So where you think you're going to make 10+%, but in reality, between people not paying you and unit turnover, like it's nowhere near. Sometimes
That's
what you think is positive is negative.
that's the interesting thing. Life when I was getting started was so much easier. My first two deals I projected would be north of 20%, and they both were
Hmm.
consistently. Like they did exactly what I thought they would do. And I mean, it was incredible. I didn't have like crazy hiccups. I didn't have tenant issues. It just went according to plan. And then I bought my third deal and it went half empty. And it was only a sixplex. I was like, what happened?
Right.
And then I started learning. I got it filled back up, of course. I mean, that was not the issue. I just didn't spend the money, and I've told you this. I didn't spend the money to fix the first unit, so that went empty for a while, and then cash flow went down. I didn't fix the second, and it just got worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those where when you get short cashed, you start delaying things. If you delay things long enough, they start compounding with other issues, right?
Oh yeah,
Don't have the income coming in, and then you have a capital, a roof, a furnace, whatever, and then it starts compounding on each other.
yeah. At all costs, you got to get your stuff full. I mean, it's just every day that goes by is a day you never get back of income. And
Exactly.
even if you only have one rental, it's like, well, one rental. If the rent's 2,000 a month, that's 67 bucks a day
Hmm.
that you'll never get back. It's just gone. So it's super important.
Nice. What else are you working on right now? So you got those refis done. So you're kind of restructuring your debt, and then you've got what was it, the 7 unit that you're did you already close on it, or are you in the process of closing?
It's in closing. And then other than that, I'm trying to restructure some of my debts to allow me to upgrade my buildings. So I'm working on a debt request right now for 2.7 million on a building that I owe less than 2.5 million on. I'd pull out 200 grand net of fees, which would be nice. I wouldn't spend that on the building though. My goal is going to be to ask for a year of interest only, which with that debt structure, because it's 25-year AM, I'll save like 3,800 a month.
Dang, that's huge.
Yeah, so $3,800 that would be going towards the debt pay down will be in my pocket. And the thought is I could upgrade the electrical panels in a bunch of the units there.
Hmm.
So over the course of a year, I could do half of the units, brand new panels. Just it'd be nice, it'd be new, it'd be out of the way. So I think I'm going to do that because it needs to be done
Right.
for one. And I'd much rather do that upgrade than just pay myself now or pay down the debt because my cost of capital is like 6% on a refi, high fives to six. So I don't really want to pay off a 6% debt early. It's really cheap,
Hmm.
but I'm going to try and make that interest only and then use the what would have gone towards principal pay down to upgrade the building and use the cash out to further bolster liquidity. So I'd put 100,000 in the property reserves amongst the different properties and then take the other 100,000 and pay off high interest debt.
Nice. So you're shifting debt structure around. One of the questions we got here, we got two. Um, how are you planning to pay down if it's interest only?
Well, I'm not. That's the that's the stated mission. Here's a here's a concept. So you have property A. I think this is reversed, right? So this is this the right side on this? Yeah. I don't
It,
know. It's probably
it's
so. Yep.
your right side, my left.
Okay. So I'm going to do this backwards then. So you have property A over here and property B over here. And property A and B are both amortized, and you're paying them both down 1,000 a month, right? So little by little, these get chunked down. That's great. However, if they were both interest only, you could take 2,000 and hammer property A or property B, rather than just make the minimum in that stated structure of an amortized loan, make the minimum payment on all of it, or
Mhm.
make the maximum payment on one. You'll pay off one much faster that way. So I prefer interest only loans. The other thing is the most people want to pay stuff down to get their loan to values low so they don't feel over leveraged, so they earn a good spot. Rather than just pay off the loan, through an amortized schedule, pay it off little by little. What I choose to do to lower my loan to value is rather than paying things down, I take the cash flow, I reinvest in the building, and I push the value up. So I have a deal, a 15 unit, 6% interest. If it was an amortized loan, I'd be spending 71.90. Let's round up to 7,200 a month. Interest only, it's 6,000 a month. That $1,200 difference over the course of 5 months is $6,000. I spent 3 grand, added a bedroom, and raised the rent $300. Not
Mhm.
on an actual existing tenant, but on a move out, I added a bedroom. It cost me 3 grand. And now all of a sudden, I have this extra $3,600 a year of income. Well, if I just put that in the calculator, 3,600, let's take 5% off for vacancy, and there's no added expenses now. Maybe there's a little bit an extra utility charge. So I'm gonna actually subtract out another 500 a year in utility charges, which I don't believe would be realized. On a 6.5 cap, I push my value at $45,000. Just put on the calculator. 45 grand for a $3,000 investment. By the way, in 5 months of paying interest only rather than amortized, I saved 6,000. So I could do it twice. And I am going to be doing that again at that property. So rather than paying down the property the $3,000,
Mhm.
I took the same amount of money and pushed the value up 45,000. It's a much better ROI. Over the course of 5 months, you do that on 2 units, which I could do at that 15 unit. I'm doing the second one right now. Another 3 grand out, push the value at 45,000. Now for a $6,000 investment or 5 months of not paying it down, I increased my property value by 90 grand, 45,000 two times. And most importantly, more than just the appreciation, I have more cash flow now. I have an extra 600 a month in net cash flow, plus the 1,200 not paying down. So it's a more sophisticated way to play the game, but it is, if you're intentional, it's very powerful to do interest only.
Yeah, I think as I'm hearing you talk about it, and it's a different game because he's in multifamily. So you can, it's about net operating income. And so since his majority are 5 units or more, by investing and increasing the rent, that actually is net better. If you're a single family property, you can still do it. It's not necessarily going to raise your value of the property as much. Um, but I think the key takeaway I'm getting out of it is that instead of doing a little drips everywhere, meaning reducing your principal, taking one chunk, putting it on the highest and best use to get the maximum amount of value out of it. So, which with you and with me and to a lesser extent, I have a lot of properties, but not all commercial. But I could still take a couple of these, combine if I did interest only, combine them, and then increase the property or pay the highest interest down or some combo of that. So it's a great idea on how to restructure your debt because it gives you optionality. Because the other thing is that when you let that money go out of the pocket, that money's gone, right? So if you can hold on to it, keep it in reserves in the short run, and then figure out how to deploy it, that's a huge repurposing of capital to help you grow.
And you can do interest only loans on residential.
Hmm.
I did that on my property, my only alligator. I did it to make it less of a bleed. I did an interest only loan for 10 years on residential. You can do that with the ACR.
Right.
So, there's ways to do it on residential. You can get it on commercial. The best interest only loans are on big commercial, which I cannot afford to buy yet. However, I'm getting there someday. So,
Maybe when
yeah,
you're 30, when you grow up to 30, maybe.
I
Four more
got 4 more
years.
years. 4 more
Yeah.
years. Oh,
We
that would be
have
cool.
we have one question, then I'll have to hop off. But the Flavio is asking, how long does it take to flip a unit over? So I can talk about the one I've seen the one 6 months ago, and the tenants are that are in there. Actually, the guy it works for a flooring company, so like the last time I was in that unit looks really good. Like I think it'll just be literally cleaning. So if it takes more than a week, I'd be shocked. Now, in my that's in Seattle area, I'll say. My one's in the Midwest. There's a couple issues that come into play. There if the tenant leaves their stuff in, say from an eviction, I could have the unit turned over in 2 weeks, meaning it's ready to rent. But they have this thing, it's annoying, that if they have their stuff and they got evicted, they have 30 days to pick their stuff up, which is like the dumbest thing in the world. So the goal is to quickly get them turned as fast as possible. Now, the property manager that I have, gosh, I don't even know. They have 3,000 units or something that they're managing.
Wow.
So it usually takes about a week. They move out. They have a person come in, do the walkthrough, send me the pictures, get me the quote. Then there's usually a back and forth of like, why is it so high? You're just literally painting and like I have one right now. Like you guys are literally just painting and putting some handles in on the cabinets, right? So, but so then you're auditing the expense. So that's probably, 5 to 10 days. Then the unit turn, typically that's only about a week to do these unit turns. Unless the only issue you've run into is windows. If for whatever reason they broke a window, those for whatever reason, because if they're non-standard, it can take a couple weeks. So we may like literally leave that window in there if it's just cracked, or board that, rent it, then come back later and then put the new window in. But I would say it's probably in the Midwest, it's probably 3 weeks for the unit turn, assuming it's needs work. But we're relisting it already on market before the tenant even moves out, knowing that, it's probably going to be 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And so that way, and depends on the building, on the larger ones. Like if I have two that are vacant, like we still keep showing um, if one's fixed up, we keep showing that and try to get two tenants out of that one. So when the other one's done, they both get filled like right away. So what would you say on your side? What are you typically seeing for unit turnover in terms of
I,
timing?
I can usually get it turned over in just a couple weeks
Hmm.
for most stuff. Sometimes it's less, just a couple days if it needs to be cleaned. And it looks like he asked how long it takes to fill up a turnover. So if you do a turnover, it's probably going to take a couple weeks to get it filled right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Which
So
that's 100% the reason why you're trying to fill it or market it while you're updating the unit so that you're parallel path in these timelines. Now, the only ones I've run into is, in the Midwest when it's the winter. If you try to get market rate in the winter, you might be able to get it, but it can take longer. So I I've had it to where, if it goes a full month, then I'm like, okay, now we got to really reduce the price here. Let's just get it filled, increase the rent over time. Because like, once you lose a month's worth of rent, effectively that's like almost like $100 a month. Like if you have a $1,200 rent. So you're better off taking a little bit less, getting it filled, and more importantly, in the winter, you want stuff filled, warm bodies in there, because problems happen when units are vacant.
Absolutely, they do. With that, I gotta jump off. You do too. So it's good chatting with you. Thanks for all the comments, everybody, and we will see you again next.